I like to subscribe, do all that, you know what time it is. Netflix time. This movie's called Don't Look Up. Spoiler alert, let's just get it. So we start off with this astronomer by the name of Kate, and she actually discovers a real-life comet heading towards Earth. She tells the leading Dr. Randall about the situation, but he discovers something that's inherently bad. They're all happy about discovering the comet, but unfortunately, its coordinates are going to hit Earth. It's a 5 to 10 kilometer wide comet that's going to land on the Earth in less than 6 months. So he calls one of the leading doctors to assess the situation, because they gotta get the assessment out to the world. So they transfer the call to one of the leading men at NASA. He goes by the name of Teddy, and he's gonna help to get the news out there. So they fly the 2 astronomers to DC, so they can talk to the President of the United States. They meet this guy at the Pentagon who charges Kate $20 for just some regular snacks. Yeah, fucking goldfish and water. Kate's like, what the fuck, you get this shit for free? But that's besides the point. We got the bigger issue at hand. And here comes Madam President with her son. That's Meryl Streep playing the president, and Jonah Hill right next door playing the son. Jason's like, look, let me get 5 minutes, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna straighten all this stuff out, and we're gonna get the meeting going. But basically, they ain't doing shit but celebrating a birthday. They're like, what the fuck, really? We ain't got time for this shit. Basically, the president ain't have time for them. They put him up at a hotel, and they're gonna meet up with him tomorrow or some shit. So she's in the hotel talking to her boyfriend. He's talking to her about some news reports about scandals in the White House and shit. Now, considering what she knows about the comet, and knowing the fact she can't tell nobody right now, because, you know, it's presidential scandal, whatever, national security and all that. I know she's thinking to herself, his news reports ain't shit compared to what the fuck I got to say. Randall's in another room talking to his family on the phone. And all his family in there. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's Rose from 2.5 Men. Oh shit. Well, anyway, that's his wife in the movie. She tells him just to speak up in the meeting, you know what I'm saying? Because apparently he takes a lot of depression pills, Xanax. He's a beloved scientist, but he's very paranoid. He's not really good at speaking in public. So they finally get to speak to the president. Wait, is she in a picture with Steven Seagal, really? So they explain the situation to her, and she takes it very lightly, like a comment, really. Like, she thinking to herself it's probably some bullshit. And Jason really doesn't take it serious, you know what I'm saying? Now, even though Randall's trying to break it down to him the best he could, Kate just flips the fuck out. She's like, no, fuck this, I gotta tell him what it is. And even though Teddy's letting them know, their concerns fall on deaf ears. She also had a picture of Mariah Carey too. So anyway, after she hears all the concerns, she basically tells them she's going to sit down and assess the situation. They're like, what the fuck, that's it? You're just going to assess? Then she tells us they're going to review the NASA plans and all that stuff. So basically, our president just blew them off. So at this point, Kate's going to get this story out there. She's going to talk to her boyfriend, and they're going to set up a thing to get the story out. And the boyfriend is going to set him up on a talk show. Meanwhile, we see this thing about cell phones. It's some type of presentation. And we got this guy by the name of Peter. So he's like the CEO of this company called Bash. He gives this presentation about cell phones actually being able to be in touch with your feelings. Now, why is he important? Because they tell us later on he's like the 3rd richest man in the entire planet. So Kate's really not supposed to be doing this, but she tells her boyfriend the situation about the comet. He ends up getting him a spot on this show called The Daily Rip, hosted by this couple named Jack and Bree. Yes, that's Tyler Perry. Basically, their show covers tabloid shit, but they happen to make a slot for a section for science. So just to tell you what this show is about, they're sitting in the back waiting to go on, and they're sitting right across from this pop star named Riley Bina, played by Ariana Grande. And the top story is about her breakup with her boyfriend. But she also wants to get some of her music put on the show too. So they get on the show first, all they want to talk about is her breakup and her music a little bit. But like I said, this show is mostly about tabloid stuff. And they was actually able to get a boyfriend live on satellite, DJ Cello, played by Kid Cudi. He cheated on her or something like that, but then he proposes to her on national TV. She says yes. So it's time for their segment, and Randall's actually pretty calm considering the situation, but he does tell him about the comet. But they're being very condescending about their findings. Teddy's just hoping that she keeps it together, and she completely cracks on TV. Telling them the truth no less, but they just think she's fucking crazy. But Randall tries to calm down the situation as much as possible. And you can tell Bree on the low has been making passes at Randall. So after the show, she invites him to some type of little shindig and gives her the digits. You already know what it is. So after the interview, they all look at Randall like some type of sex symbol. Kate, however, became a meme for everybody because she spazzed out. They just portrayed her as crazy and all that shit. And then what's even worse, she gets a text from her boyfriend. He prints up a news article about her, basically saying, you know, the crazy chick that thinks we're all gonna die, I slept with her. Damn, that's just disrespectful. Meanwhile, in the news, Madam President is down for some scandal or something. She slept with some sleazeball. Next thing you know, out the blue, FBI picks up Randall, Kate, and basically take him back to the president. So the situation is this. She wants them to finally help out with the campaign. And she says she's going to get people in the camp to do as much as they can so they can stop this comet. She wants to issue an apology to them, but really all she's really trying to do is put this story in front of her scandal, you know what I'm saying, to get away from that type of press. And they're prepared to boost this shit. So they're thinking to themselves, yeah, it's kind of corny, but at least it's a step in the right direction. They're actually going to do something about this damn comet. So at this point in time, they only got 5 months left before this comet hits Earth, and she does an outside press conference, and they're going to do everything they can to stop the comet, but they never explained how. So they get this guy, I remember him from Alien Resurrection. So they're going to get him to travel with a bunch of nukes into the comet to make it seem like he's doing it for his country. He's going to die as a hero or something like that. Because you got to have a hero, of course, to save the world. So Randall's in the limelight. They got to do commercials and shows and whatnot. Like some Sesame Street shit, right? They invite him, just him, back on the Daily Rip. After the show, Bree and him are at this hotel spot. And she grabs him up and she ends up giving them the business. Meanwhile, Teddy and Kay are giving their explanations to some other congressmen. And they're basically treating her like a fucking joke. See, Randall ended up naming the comet after her last name, and that's all people really care about. It's like, where's the relevancy to this shit? And she's got that smile on her face, you can tell she's ready to flip the fuck out. Then they in their bed, getting to know things about each other. But she really doesn't care, she's just ready to get her cheeks clapped once again. Alright, so apparently now it's time for the launch. Led by Mr. Save the Day himself. Okay, so here's the plan. They're gonna have our hero fly in a spaceship with a bunch of nukes flying towards the comet. But the thing is, how are they even going to detect the comet? Keep in mind, there's still 2 more months left before this thing hits the Earth. So because he's a world-renowned figure now, the president lets Randall give the state of address. Peter also joins the room to watch the launch. Then for some particular reason, all of a sudden the missiles start turning around. So people are just looking like, okay, what the fuck is going on? As the rest of our crew is dumbfounded too. So Jason only brings Randall into the meeting room. So apparently the president stopped the launch on purpose. But why? Because Peter found out some information about the comet. Now apparently this comet has a whole bunch of minerals and things on it. He keeps saying you could make so much money off of it that it would cure world hunger, and talks about how we would never have poor people again. So he wants to launch an attack that merely breaks up the minerals and blows it into several pieces instead of destroying the whole thing altogether. But Randall's got to be thinking to himself like, no. If the pieces of it still hit the Earth is doomed. He's saying literally nobody will survive. But the president and his bash company, all they want to do is capitalize on the situation. Basically going to make the rich more rich. But what good is that if everybody's going to die, stupid? So Randall, Kate, and Teddy are just pissed off. They sit at a bar. And Peter has this plan in place for his satellites to land on the comet with explosions and blow up the pieces so they can collect the minerals. The only problem is it hasn't been tested yet. Hell, they don't even know if all the charges will even make it up to space, let alone if the detonators will blow up the comet. Then their waiter overhears them talking at the bar, and then Kate's like, fuck it, she's just gonna air it out. So she tells everybody the situation was really going down. What happens after that? Fucking anarchy. People destroying shits on the streets, taking gallons of alcohol and whatnot, and causing a ruckus. Of course, Kate gets locked up again for starting a riot, and the president and them, they gotta take her off the grid. So they make her sign a petition that she can't do any more TV or promote any propaganda. And they won't prosecute her if she signs these papers. At this point, she doesn't even give a fuck anymore. She just signs it. She ends up going back home to Illinois, and her parents let her in only if she don't talk about politics and all that shit. Meanwhile, Randall's still doing commercials. It's like, wow. I guess you gotta play ball if you're gonna beat him from the inside out. He came to another spot to do some more nefarious things, but then he gets caught by his wife. Yeah, she is extremely pissed at him, but she don't even whip his ass. She just throws all his medications at him. She just ain't got the patience for this shit. That is the critical face of knowing, yeah, you fucked up. So now Kate's back to working at this little mom and pop store. I guess it's like a grocery store or something. And she's gonna meet up with this guy later on, who recognized her from TV and all the memes and stuff. Meanwhile, Randall, President, and Peter is showing off his bash satellites with the explosives in them. Randall wants to get to the bottom of it. He wants to ask questions. He knows this stuff hasn't been tested yet. He's trying to figure out what's good. Then Peter reassures him this is evolution. Then he starts relaying information that Randall didn't even know was out there. Then he tells him how he's going to die. He tells him he's going to die alone. He says he's got technology for the future and all this other stuff. Which after what just happened with Randall, he's starting to think that might be true. So Kate's down there chilling with Yule after her day off. And they get to kissing. They find a spot to get to. She ends up giving her the business. Now back with the Daily Rip show, you got some people that think it's a comet, but some people are starting to think it's not really a comet out there. Randall at this point is trying to keep his cool. Then at this point, Randall just explodes and tells him what it really is. Kind of like how Kate exploded, but he gives them legitimate facts. And of course at this point, the government is trying to shut him up too. Y'all knew it was coming. Afterwards, Kate and Yule are just chilling looking at the stars. And at this point, I think it's like 25 more days until the comet hits. And then they look at the sky, they actually see the actual comet right there in the middle. Kate calls Randall to let him know what's good. And Randall got out the car and he's looking at it too. Then they're trying to get everybody to see this comet. It's called the Just Look Up campaign. Meanwhile, the president is telling them to do the opposite, telling them don't look up. Ergo, the title of the movie. It's not like she only thinks it's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but more so to push their own agendas. So people are 50-50 about this. And then we get this random cameo from Chris Evans, starring in this movie called Total Devastation. The tagline is, when the asteroid hit us, he hit back. Like it's supposed to be some type of action movie or something. Well, anyway, Randall and Kate end up doing the concert for this campaign. But the reason a whole bunch of people turned out was because Riley Beamer was performing songs there, along with her new fiance, Kid Cudi, aka DJ Cello. I ain't gonna lie, if you listen to the words, the songs are quite motivational and hilarious. Meanwhile, Madam and Jason still spewing their garbage. Then the next day, we find out Teddy gets a call, and it's a pretty messed up call. He tells the crew that the mission got deflected. Now, what does that mean? That means Madam President and the crew bought out Russia, China, and Japan to make sure that they kept their nukes. In short, the US destroyed their nukes. Now, the only thing that can save the planet at this point now is bashing his technology, which once again has not been tested. So Randall's thinking to himself, yeah, we're pretty much fucked. So these goofy niggas at this Don't Look Up campaign looking like really like some Trump supporters, honestly. But one guy smartened up and looked up, and they can really see the comment now. Everybody looked up and saw the truth, and they looking at the president of niggas like, yeah, you fucking lied to us. Then they start throwing bottles at him, they finally seeing the truth. Meanwhile, Randall and Kate are on the road, and her boo Eula's in the back seat. So the question is, where is Randall on his way to? So now Peter's with the president, they about to launch the bombs and the satellites. Now the thing was, it was not a problem if 2 of them didn't get into space. The problem is 6 of the satellites didn't get into space. So it's not looking good right now. So we found out Randall was on his way back to his wife's house so he could apologize and everything like that. And basically, it's going to be his last day on this earth. Might as well spend it with his family. So she let him in. So the satellites did detach onto the asteroid and the bombs were set in place. The bombs went off, but unfortunately it didn't do shit. The asteroid was still in one piece. That's crazy how this shit's headed towards the earth. Wow, man. Basically, the family's gonna enjoy their last minutes chilling eating at the table. Peter's like, fuck this shit, I'm ghost. President leaves out too. Niggas like, fuck this shit, I'm leaving too. They gonna see their kids and families and wives and whatnot. Until Jason's the only one left in there still thinking everybody's gonna come back. Now she's on a plane or a ship or something like that with Peter, and apparently it's a couple more people on the ship. She asks Randall if she wants to come and he can bring whoever he wants. But Randall says, nah, I'm gonna stay here and chill with my family. Anchors are devastated on TV about the mission failing. Jack and Bree celebrate their last days on Earth by getting drinks and talking shit about people. And then the comet hits the Earth, shaking up the entire planet, and then we see all our peoples getting disintegrated. Like, damn, the Earth is really gonna be gone. And you see the Earth is just a molten ball of rock with water on it. But there's one particular spaceship just happens to fly past. Now where the heck is it going? Where is it going to land? It ended up breaking off into pods and landing on this random planet. All the people that was on the ship landed on the planet, including Peter and Madam President. But this planet is inhabited by these 4-legged birds, or whatever you want to call them. Madam President gets close up on one, and gets her face eaten off. Done deal, that is shit. And everybody else ends up suffering the same fate. And by some miracle, some strange reason, miraculously, Jason is the last living person on Earth. Posting up, looking for likes and stuff. Dude, there ain't nobody else liking your shit, subscribing, nobody else is living. And there you have it, that's pretty much what it is. So it's a crazy outlook, but it's more of a comedic tone as opposed to movies like Armageddon, Deep Impact, Meteor. It just reminded me of those type of movies, honestly. Don't Look Up on Netflix. Check it out, like this, is gonna do all that, you know what time it is, so these are these evenings. Stop! Big, you got this slow.